go.
Dude, how do you see how many viewers you have, by the way? This is unprecedented for IlliniBearsTalk.
IlliniBearsTalk live stream.
Live episode
We
ever.
got 76 right now.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah, it's going up pretty quick.
I know.
Yo, people actually joining this.
No, this is exciting stuff. I mean, one of the biggest days in Bears history, I think we could all agree, if this turns out the way we think it will, because for once, the Bears actually got the guy that everybody wanted. He was the number one guy by all Bears fans, and they're going to probably give him the largest contract in Bears history for a head coach. Rashad, we were watching your stream when the private plane landed that everybody thought Ben Johnson was on, but apparently that was fake. Dude, walk us through like that whole stream, like your reaction initially when you saw that news, dude.
Yeah, so my friend Nick, we were tracking the planes, or well, Sam was tracking it too. Like we were tracking this private plane that apparently went to Dallas last week. We thought picked up Mike McCarthy and went back to Chicago, the same plane that went to Detroit and then back to Chicago. So we were like, that must be him. I mean, who else would be coming from Detroit at this time? So my friend Nick, he lives 10 minutes away from the Chicago Executive Airport where all the private planes land. So he's just like, let's just stream this whole thing. Like he tries to, get there to like a viewing spot. There's like a public viewing spot for like, just like, I guess, seeing the planes land. But he couldn't really see anything there. So he goes a little bit further into like basically private property. I don't think he was allowed to be there, but he got the view of the plane that we were tracking. And yeah, there's somebody that walked out of it, but he actually left, when that person walked out, and it ended up not even being Ben Johnson. Like according to Brad Biggs, he's coming to Chicago tomorrow. So the whole time we were tracking this random ass guy. But I'm happy we did that stream because we got to give our live reaction to the Ben Johnson news, because what a coincidence. Like at the same exact time, Adam Schefter comes out with his report that Ben Johnson is coming to Chicago. And yeah, my first reaction was just like elation. Like this is the first time in my life, like the Bears hired the exact guy I wanted. And it seemed too good to be true, honestly. Like I had to check to make sure it was the right Adam Schefter page and like, look at all the other sources too. And I mean, it's just like, it's so exciting, right? Because we've been wanting this guy since last year, honestly. Like we wanted the Bears to fire Eberflus to hire Ben Johnson, and miraculously, he did not take a job anywhere else. Like he could have taken the Panthers job, Commander's job would have been really nice for him, but he chose to wait it out and be a Chicago Bear. So I think it's super exciting that, we finally did something that made sense.
For sure. And I mean, I think that emotion of elation is matched for all Bears fans. And your friend, luckily, he left right when they got off the plane. He got lucky that they broke the news when he got back, and he missed out on who actually left. But a lot of Bears fans would have been mad at him had Ben Johnson not been hired, because then we wouldn't have known who it is. But, Sam, you were told to kind of keep things silent. There's a lot of news that you didn't break on Twitter for Bears fans throughout the process, but you stuck by your gut that Ben Johnson was going to be a Chicago Bear. You're fighting not only the Jaguars fan base, but the Raiders fan base.
2v100. 2v100.
So tell us what you've been wanting to tell Bears fans this whole time, what you've been keeping shut.
Okay, so there's a lot of stuff to start with. We'll start with Jacksonville. That was never a real possibility. That was always reported. He was never actually interested with Jacksonville's job. He was if Balky would have been fired, but they kept him. So Shad Khan, U of I legend, we're both in Champaign right now. He messed it up for you guys. So Duval, you guys need a new owner. And then moving on to Las Vegas fan, they put in a very good pitch. Tom Brady did a lot. He really made Ben Johnson at least give it a shot by just going there, seeing what's good. He wanted his guy, Newmark. That's why they interviewed him, but Tom Brady wasn't going to let a new head coach get his own GM, run the whole place. I don't even think Tom Brady's ego would allow that either. So, I mean, obviously, I don't think, as you guys can see, they didn't even interview again. So those two, regarding other teams, doesn't matter. So for our new head coach, Ryan Poles did all this. This was all Ryan Poles. If anything, Ryan Poles was the driving reason why it happened so quickly. And as you guys have probably seen from other people, Kevin Warren was the only thing that was holding it up. George McCaskey gave the green light for Kevin Warren to spend money. As you guys can see, he checked in for Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin makes $16 million a year right now, so they were willing to pay big money for a head coach. Also, what else do we got here? I think during the process, Ryan Poles really felt like he botched it with Matt Eberflus, so he wanted to get it right with Ben Johnson, who's obviously the clear favorite. When they were interviewing, they weren't really even talking about like the job. It was mostly just contract numbers, stuff like that. That's why it happened without a second interview. And then what else do we got here? And then obviously, yeah, this is probably the last thing I'll talk about here. The tweets early on where former Bears offensive lineman Kyle Long was saying that random people are tweeting stuff out. Yes. So some of my tweets and some of my other friends' tweets from the Bears chat, shout out to everybody in that chat, by the way, we were tweeting some stuff out that was reaching some people that shouldn't be reaching, especially when Kyle Long brought some eyes to it. A lot of people in Hallis Hall were seeing it, especially Ryan Poles himself actually saw it. That's what I heard. He was not too happy about some of the tweets because he was just confused. How is it reaching an account like Poles is not him, but now it's Poles is him. So how could a tweet like that reach like something you guys talked to with only 5 other people in the room? How did it reach Twitter? And how does it have like 400,000 views? How's everybody seeing it? So I got a text to just calm down a little bit. And there's a lot of things that changed after that. I think the one tweet where I was talking about where Kevin Warren really was like the deciding factor because we all want that. He's the one that's really just holding up this spot. It kind of pissed off Kevin Warren. Like because he has a really big ego. Like I'll be the first one to say his big ego. He wants to be drawn in a good spotlight. Doesn't seem good that a random account is saying that he is the reason why we might not land Ben Johnson. So I think that actually changed a lot of things inside House on. This is probably why it sped it up. But yeah, I mean, aside from that, we got Ben Johnson. I definitely did not expect us to land him without doing second interviews. So Ben Johnson is a bust. It's going to look very bad that we didn't even hire him or interview him the second time or anyone else. And yeah, I mean, Mike McCarthy was always smoke. Todd Monken was a second dose. That's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting that you brought up that we didn't even interview him for the second time. They were so sold on him and his body of work and, you know, what they talk to people around the league that they didn't need to interview him for a second time. And I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't know how, a couple hours in person is going to really change your opinion on a person, especially someone that you want to be in the building for the next decade plus. But Dylan, obviously you're a Michigan guy and, probably a lot of Lions fans out there kind of feeling it now that they lost their OC. How are you feeling now that the Bears finally landed, the Lions top guy, maybe their brightest mind in the building, some would say?
Yeah, like Rashab said, like basically just elated. Like it's obviously I know a lot of Lions fans, like close friends with a lot of Lions fans who are now pretending like Ben Johnson like actually wasn't that good or whatever, and like that kind of nonsense. But from the Bears' perspective, it's back-to-back off seasons of just making the obvious move. Like last year or last off season, it was like to draft Caleb, and Poles is him above me. Kind of wanted Fields for a while, but Ryan Poles ended up making the obvious move and drafting Caleb. And then this offseason, it's hiring Ben Johnson. And it seems like the whole time, like he was their number one guy no matter what. Like it didn't really matter. And all that mattered was he going to pick the Bears or was he going to pick Aiden O'Connell? And I think some people started to really believe that he was just like this really power hungry guy that wanted to pick his own GM, wanted to pick his own quarterback, build his own team, kind of like what Kyle Shanahan did with the Niners. But even the Niners kind of had more infrastructure in place when Shanahan took the job. So I think Ben Johnson, like passing on an opportunity to coach Caleb, who obviously like is seen in league circles like a lot higher than people on Twitter see him. I think it was just like something he was never going to pass up. And at this point, it seems like it was a job he's been looking to take for like a while. Like, I mean, they literally just lost in the playoffs 2 days ago. Like it's Monday, and like he hasn't even people today, like Schefter, Rappaport basically tweeted like, oh, like he's gonna like find his schedule for in-person interviews, like, and then it's like middle of the day. I mean, I'm in Europe, so it was actually at night, but middle of the day for you guys, and it's like an Adam Schefter tweet, and you're like, what the? There's no way that this is real. Like I had to make sure like multiple times that I wasn't getting trolled. Like
Right.
like it's Monday. Like I was expecting like a decision like maybe middle end of the week, but like for him to like kind of today, while in the middle of like this like playing garbage that Sam started, that like kind of like Schefter like actually tweeted that Ben Johnson's going to be the Bears head coach. I like actually fell to the ground. Like it was like actually like one of like the most surreal feelings ever. Because like those types of things, like I mean, when Fields got traded, like it wasn't like the same type of like, because that was like a more like a relief. Like finally, like thank God, like this is over. Like yeah, that's me on the ground. Like genuine reaction. Like I just fell to the ground. It was pretty awesome. But yeah, Ryan Poles, like I mean, I've given him a lot of shit, I think, for some of his moves, especially like drafting guys like Zach Pickens, Valus, Kieran, whatever. But you get a guy like this, and you deserve an extension. Like he deserves to kind of be paired with Ben Johnson, and you just see where it goes in the next 3 or 4 years. And kind of like at this point, if it goes to shit, like I mean, like you just kind of take it. It is what it is. Like you hired the best guy since probably Shanahan. Like I mean, actually, almost definitely since Shanahan. Like the best guy to really hit the market. And I mean, I guess maybe lucky for the Bears, a better job than open up this cycle. And Ben was definitely finally ready to go. But I think a lot of it also like I think what I like have kind of picked up on is I think if the Bears would have fired Eberflus last year, I think Ben Johnson would have been really interested in the job. But I think there was probably a consensus. Him and Poles seem to be like genuine friends. Some consensus idea that Ben was going to go back to the Lions, try one more year, and then be ready. I don't know. It just happened like perfectly. I guess the very perfect situation would have been Caleb joins the team this year as a rookie, and we kind of don't waste that year. But still, like second year, like you still got that whole development period with Ben, and we'll see who Ben brings. Maybe Zeitler will come with him. We'll see who he brings as the OC. Like, I mean, if he brings Engstrand, like that's a guy that might be a head coach like a year from now. So, I mean, they have a head coach, hopefully for the next decade. They have, if they can finalize Dennis Allen and Darren Rizzi, they have 2 coordinators that won't be getting probably head coaching jobs. Dennis Allen definitely won't be getting another head coaching job. He's already had 2. So I think he's probably seen his head coaching shelf life. But elite defensive coordinator, if they could bring him in, like they'd have 2 of the very best play callers on both sides of the ball. So pretty exciting stuff. Basically, like just some like quick stuff that I was looking at earlier, like but within the past 3 years, so the 3 years that Ben Johnson has called plays for the Lions, all teams, so the top 5 teams in EPA per player, the Bills, Niners, Lions, Chiefs, and Ravens. Obviously the Ravens, Chiefs, and Bills have elite quarterbacks, and then the Niners and Lions have elite play callers. And then I guess like there's some overlap. Chiefs, Ravens, Bills also all probably have elite play callers too. And then success rate, it's the same list, but with the Bengals instead of the Ravens. So, and now they're probably Zach Taylor's honestly probably not that good, but they do have an elite quarterback. So if you want to be a top 5 offense in the league, you need one, or ideally both. And hopefully the Bears have both. But at this point, for a fact they have at least one, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, that's my piece.
No, yeah, I think Ben Johnson, another stat that really caught my eye was that the Lions were number 1 in terms of the EPA for design passes. So he makes the life of the quarterback easy. He turned Goff into one of the top quarterbacks in the league. And I mean, his view among a lot of average NFL viewers was that he's a top 10 quarterback. Now, I mean, some of us don't feel that he should be regarded that highly, but I think that really speaks to how good Ben Johnson is. And I think my favorite part about Ben Johnson is that he's not really a scheme guy. It's not like he has his own design and that's what he wants to stick to. I don't think the Bears offense is going to look like how the Lions ran their offense. Ben Johnson knows what dynamic abilities Caleb Williams has. I think there's going to be a lot of throws on the run using Caleb's athleticism, something that Goff doesn't have. And that's a really good point to bring up is that Ben Johnson is a really intelligent guy, viewed very highly around the league, and he decided to come to the Bears probably mainly due to Caleb Williams. So, yeah, that's how he's viewed around the league, like you mentioned, Illan, even though some people online will say that he's bust already, which is crazy. But Ben Johnson clearly thinks that Caleb Williams has what it takes to be an elite quarterback in the NFL. If that wasn't the case, he wouldn't take the job.
So Rashab,
Yeah,
I got
not Aiden O'Connell.
Rashab, you tell me, if you're Ben Johnson, who are you adding to this team over free agency drafts? What do you think this team needs to succeed? Aside from the obvious O-line, do you think we should go O-line at top 10 or running back like what our good friend Ilan thinks? We should draft Ashton Jeanty.
Yeah, I'll have to look more like which free agents are available. I honestly have not done as much research into which top free agents are available, but as you mentioned, like offensive line has to be a main priority here. Like you got to get some guards, you got to get a center, maybe a better like swing tackle or just backup tackle, because Braxton Jones I think should be the starting tackle next season, but if you can find a way to get an upgrade, you should maybe try to, but I don't think that's going to be possible this offseason. So I feel like just like upgrading the interior would be a big thing. As for drafting Ashton Jeanty, I don't know. Like I kind of go back and forth on that because like I feel like this team really could use a dynamic running back. I'm not a big Swift fan at all. Like I think he had a terrible 2024 season, and I think he just like efficiency
So
and
bad.
like vision. Like he was horrible last year, and like people say
He's
the
just
Bears
so bad.
people say the Bears O-line was bad, but like his vision, like on some of these plays, were just
So bad.
horrible. So and I don't think Roshan is good enough to be the number one back, unfortunately. So yeah, I wouldn't be horribly mad at it, but it's also like kind of worrisome in a way. Like I might want to rather go after like a pass rusher at pick number 10 or like just anybody in the trenches, because I feel like RB is a position that sometimes you can get a little bit later. And I've heard this class is deeper. I haven't done like as much research into it, but there are people out there that are saying you can get guys in, second and third round, which if that's the case, maybe it's better to, use your pick there, because the Lions, when they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, they already had their offensive line basically set, trenches set. So I don't think the Bears have their O-line set in any way. And it's kind of like a luxury pick, I would say. But yeah, I would say O-line for sure has to be better. Running game has to be better. Probably another weapon to add to this team. I'm not sure if they're going to bring Keenan Allen back or not, but if I had to guess, probably not. I mean, he's getting older, and not sure what type of contract he's going to demand. So maybe you get a younger guy via free agency, via the NFL draft. And, in terms of defense, I mean, I guess it's a topic for a different day, but like, Dennis Allen is going to, want his guys in here. And he's a phenomenal DC, like I'm really happy we're probably going to get him because he was probably top 2 or top 3 out of the list of potential DCs available besides Anarumo and maybe one other guy, but Eberflus, I guess he's gonna get a job pretty soon with the Bengals or whoever, but he does deserve it. Like as much as I hate on Eberflus, like his defense was still like good at times. Like it fell off after he got fired, but yeah, there's a lot we have to add in the offseason for sure.
That's where we always said, like, if we could just demote Eberflus to DC and find a new head coach, that would work fine. I mean, he's not a bad DC, but
that's what Dennis Allen is basically. Like, he just can't be a head coach. Like, obviously, like very obvious, like just like can't be a head coach, but like very good play caller.
That's good.
So basically, Sam, from what I'm hearing, I mean, I want to hear more scoopage on this. Did Bears Twitter have impact on the coaching search? Did we make Ben Johnson the next head coach of the Bears? Is it us?
I don't think that we caused Ben Johnson to come here for sure, but I definitely think the culmination of trolling Caleb Williams with the Ben Johnson, I think that was actually mentioned in some of the interviews at the end, that just like as a joke that even the QB1 wants you very badly. And I just think that when the inner workings of what was going on in Hallis Hall was getting just posted online through some mouthpieces online, it was, I guess, very alarming for the front office. So they wanted to keep tight lips. But I definitely think just with all of what was going on all over Twitter, I feel like Ryan Poles and McCaskey and Warren were able to get a good gauge of exactly what this fan base really wants and needs. Because at the end of the day, the football team, you want to listen to your fans as much as what's good for what the organization. If you mess up so many hires in a row, if the whole whole damn fan base wants Ben Johnson. You want Ben Johnson. He wants you. I think it's just an easy say. I definitely think, like, because it was really unprecedented from a lot of people that we did not even interview the man in person and we hired him. So I definitely think there had to have been like some knowledge of like, okay, our fan base really, really wants him. Like, let's get it done. Because Ryan Poles is almost like us. He's like, he understands exactly what the fan base wants. He's a younger guy. He's not like McCaskey, who has no idea what's going on. He understands that like Ben Johnson is a home run hire here. And I actually think it's pretty funny because when Ryan Pace was the GM, he made like the home run hire with Matt Nagy, even though he's nowhere near Ben Johnson. But I definitely think it's like very important in a GM's career to make like the big swing for the head coach. Because like regardless if even if Ben Johnson ends up like being trash, it was the most right pick. Same with Caleb Williams. So I don't think it can go bad, but I definitely think that at the end of the day, there was definitely some movement inside House Hall where people were like sending texts out like, how is the information we're telling you reaching Twitter? It's like very like Poles was just very surprised. He's like, how is this reaching Twitter? So I'm not Poles, I'm not McCaskey, but I definitely think it played a little bit of a role, especially with him not having to interview anybody else. Like we had 0 finalists. We did not interview a single candidate in person. We interviewed 16 or 16, 17 candidates. I don't know the exact number. Actually, it might have been 20. I'm not even sure, but we interviewed 20 candidates all on Zoom. The only reason why is because McCaskey wanted it. He wanted to make it large net. Warren wanted to just have an exhaustive search. Ryan Poles knew the whole time what we wanted. And as you can see, I'm guessing Warren gave him the green light to hire him. It's up to you right now. He did it. He's like, all right, I want Ben Johnson. I don't even need to see his ass in person. Let's just get it done. And he did. So he made the whole fan base happy.
And FYI to all the Bears fans out there, like these guys are on Twitter. Poles has a burner.
He does have a burner. And he indeed has a burner.
Power works for the Bears. Like I can tell you, like these are guys that actually are plugged in. This is not like made up stuff. Sorry, Rashad, what were you gonna say?
I forgot honestly, but no, I agree with that. Yeah, like didn't he also say like his kids have Twitter or whatever, or like he talked about like the videos on Twitter? Like maybe you've seen one of my videos. Like,
he saw
yeah, he was like the hype videos or whatever, or like I don't know what exactly he said, but he definitely has a Twitter account. He's definitely plugged in, and I think that's a good thing because he's actually in tune like with what the fan base wants. And I feel like in the last couple of years, he's mostly made the moves the fan base wants. Like maybe besides not picking Jalen Carter at number 9, that's something the fan base wanted, but. He still went after Darnell Wright, which is a guy a lot of Bears fans wanted. He went after Roma Dunze this year, which is a player a lot of the fan base wanted. Maybe it wasn't as splashy in free agency, but maybe that's something that could be coming now. Like maybe Ryan Poles sees that his job is kind of on the line. Probably not because he's going to get an extension now, but he knows he has to kind of go for it now. And like the opportunity to win is going to be right now. So maybe we see him more aggressive in free agency, going after like big fishes like Trey Smith if he's possibly available or whoever else is available. So yeah, definitely excited to see Poles kind of more excited to be aggressive.
Oh yeah, that you mentioned winning. At this point, so Poles, I guess now that he got Ben Johnson locked up and he's gonna get an extension, he seems safe, but do you think the Bears have to start winning now at this point? And now with Ben Johnson, what are your expectations, all three of you, for how the Bears perform next year? Do you guys expect to be a playoff team or even beyond that? And I'll start with you, Illan.
Yeah, I feel like they almost like need to be a playoff team next year. Like they kind of like we went into this season like they should be in the playoffs and kind of they like well underperformed our expectations just in terms of win total. There's definitely like a handful of games that were like, yeah, like the head coach is like actually like there's something wrong with him, which was true and did happen. And I think after the Commanders game, like we all knew just like PTSD wise, like he was just going to lose the team completely. And that's exactly what happened. But now when you get a guy like Ben Johnson, you're ready to win. Like I think in the off season, like just to kind of add on to what you guys were saying, like it needs to be really trench heavy. I like in my honest opinion, I know a lot of Bears fans don't want to bring back Tevin Jenkins, but I think that's a problem you don't need to like create. I think Poles already tried to do that when he let go of James Daniels and tried to replace him, and kind of that went horribly. Like Nate Davis is, I mean, of all of his moves, like one of his very worst. And I think like he might have learned from that. I think there's like definitely a point and a piece where like Kevin Zeitler might come with Ben Johnson over to the Bears, like from the Lions, and you plug him in to play right guard, and you already have Tev left guard, and like, what are you looking at now? Like, you just need a center, and then you can you have that luxury at that point to maybe draft an edge at 10, or even maybe potentially draft Ashton Genty. Maybe we'll see. Kind of take that luxury pick. If nothing else, Ashton Genty would be a lot of fun in that offense. But I think like you add in like a DC like Dennis Allen, and he kind of brings in his own guys in the offseason. Like the team should really like start to take shape, and they have a lot of talent. The biggest piece is like kind of getting that coaching to get the most out of them. Like if you bring in a guy like Dennis Allen, like Tyreek Stevenson's not playing. Like especially like after like a big mistake, like that happens almost every week. Like he's just like he's not playing. And that's like why like you needed a guy that's also not going to play like a lot of man, because if Tyreek Stevenson does have to play next year, like worst man corner in football, just like being completely real. Like I mean, it's just rough. So I mean, like that's also an underrated part that they kind of might need to attack. That like if at 10 like Will Johnson somehow falls to them, like, and like yeah, I'm a Michigan like fan and whatever, but that's a guy like that they should totally like target if he's there. Same with Mason Graham. Like those are like guys like they still have a lot of holes on their roster that they need to fill. Hopefully Billings comes back and is healthy, and I think they extended him last offseason. Maybe I don't totally remember honestly. I don't know if he's still under contract or not, but you'll get some guys back from injury. You hope that you bring in Ben Johnson, the offense goes immediately to being top 10 or top 15. And really, if Caleb is as good as we think he is, and that if Ben Johnson is as good as we think he is, like they should be a top 10 offense, like almost like instantly. And it might take a little bit of time to gel and whatever, but they already have two really good weapons in DJ and Rome. And I doubt they bring back Keenan, but also like it'll be interesting to see how they use Cole Kmet, because last year Sam Laporta was like a really big part of the Lions offense, and this year like less so for sure. As a Sam Laporta fantasy owner, like I know that firsthand. But like their offense should be top 10 like pretty quickly, and if it's not, it'll kind of be a little bit concerning. And their defense, like with proper coaching and not like I don't know, Eric Washington calling plays, like they should also be like a top half unit. So I mean, the expectation should be playoffs. I know like we always do this and every year they disappoint us, but like the expectation is the expectation, and it should be playoffs, and like they really should be competing for 11, 12 wins, like seriously. And we'll see. I mean, their roster or their schedule's tough, and they still have holes, and the division's good and whatever. But there's definitely reason to be excited. I know it's the Bears, and like every reason to get excited is like they like shoot you down like every single time, but they finally made the right moves. Like our entire lives, I feel like they always try to do something smart. Like Kyle Brandt was saying, like they're going to hire someone like they did with Tressman, and finally George is learning to kind of just like do the right move, do the obvious thing that you can, and kind of maybe it'll be different this time.
Where you two want to go? Give me your prediction.
I can make mine quick. I'll just basically wrap it up with saying we should most definitely be a playoff team. Matt Eberflus was the cause of all problems last season and the season before. He's genuinely a professional choke artist. Like it's crazy how many times we choked winning so many games. And he's just like a lousy head coach. I think all that we were lacking was coaching. I said this going into last year that if we get the coach right, we'll be good. But we kept Matt Eberflus. But I'm very confident Ben Johnson will be a lot better than what Bears fans expect him to be as well, because some people think he's just like some mathematical genius who can just call up plays. But if you really look at his interviews and press conferences, he really riles up like the team. Like he's good at it. Like he's almost like a Sean McVay. He's not like a quiet type of guy. I feel like he's gonna be happy to work with Caleb. Like he's gonna get this team going. And I think that we should definitely be a playoff team. We're definitely going to take care of O-line. There's going to be a lot of like significant interest in alignment and free agency draft. Obviously, I don't think Trey Smith will hit the open markets, but that'd be good if we get him. But I think this team will be way, way better than what it was before. And like, remember last year, or I guess last season, we were 4-2. We lost to a Hail Mary, and then we lost in Thanksgiving due to not calling a timeout. And then we broke a 100-year tradition of firing the head coach. Like, everything that happened last season was like unbelievable. 20-19 against the Packers, the kick gets blocked. Are we serious? Like, it's almost unbelievable the ways we lose with Matt Eberflus. But I think there's brighter times ahead right now. I think it's good. Our GM's listening to the fans. Everybody's happy. There's only a few people on Twitter that think Ben Johnson is not good. I mean, they probably don't matter that much, but I think Ben Johnson with a 6-year contract is very, very important. I think he's going to be here for a while. This team will be amazing. Playoff team inbound.
Yeah, I agree with what Ilan and Sam said because, yeah, I mean, it's just like we got the top candidate, right? Like, and this never happens, like this is a guy that one of the most qualified head coaching candidates I've ever seen in my life, with what he did with the Lions, 3 years of a lot of playoff success and, regular season success as well. So I just think that Caleb, like, he can explode next season. Like, he could easily be the Bears' first 4,000-yard passer. We can really get Roma Dunze involved in this offense. He wasn't involved, maybe as much as we expected him to be involved in his first year, and he still had like 700 yards or something like that. So I just think like there's opportunity to finally use the weapons we have on this team. Like DJ Moore could finally explode in a way we haven't seen yet. Cole Kmet could be more involved as well. So it's just exciting times. And like, we should definitely start winning games now. Like if we don't win games next year, I think, a lot of people are going to be upset. And I just wouldn't even know what to say at that point because the Bears have done everything I wanted them to do. Like they got a really good quarterback, number 1 overall. They invested in, weapons. They got Ben Johnson. If they invest in the trenches, then there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to win, 10, 11, 12 games. I mean, what the Commanders are doing with Jaden Daniels right now, that should definitely be possible with the Chicago Bears next year. And I know we play in a pretty tough division, but the Lions are not going to be as good next season without Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. Like, I still think they're going to be pretty good because they have a good roster and they're probably going to replace those guys with, pretty good coordinators. But I don't think they're going to be, a 15-win team next season. And we saw the Packers kind of regress at the end of last year. We finally beat them. We could have swept them if not for a blocked field goal. And the Vikings are going to have a JJ McCarthy starting, which he's a total unknown at this point. I mean, so yeah, I think
guy JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, division is open. In some ways, it's still going to be tough to win it, but I think the Bears have the opportunity to win a lot of games next season.
Yeah, I totally agree with the division getting weaker. And I think you'll kind of see a battle between the Bears and the Lions over, Ben Johnson trying to get some of his guys to come join the Bears. And that'll be very telling also of how much people believe in Ben Johnson versus Dan Campbell with the Lions. So that's something to watch. But I agree with you guys. It's time to stop just winning the offseason. It's time to start winning some games.
Actual football games.
It shouldn't be here. I think that Ben Johnson, this should be winning instantly. Playoffs are the expectation next year. It's not something that should take lightly. And Sam, one final message to the haters who thought you had no sources.
Oh, I mean, not much to say. It's just I'm happy we ended up with Ben Johnson. Enjoy the scraps. Raiders are going to get Pete Carroll or whoever, maybe. Jets will get Aaron Glenn. Jaguars, Liam Cohen. Enjoy those guys, but they're nowhere near Ben Johnson. Nowhere near Ben Johnson. And it's funny because other teams like the Jaguars didn't want the Bears to get Ben Johnson. They'd rather have the Raiders get Ben Johnson just because of how confident our fan base would get Ben Johnson. And here we are without even a final interview with Ben Johnson signed for 6 years, without even stepping foot in Chicago. How beautiful is that?
Thank you, Poles is him. You saved us.
Thank you.
Ryan
All right,
Poles.
guys. Let's go.
Peace out.
See you later. I think it went super.